Good evening, everyone. I know today's video is going to be a very interesting video that I think a lot of you guys have been waiting for. And it has to do with my personal review of the Gryphon Mephisto stereo amplifier. As you guys know, I've owned it for, I think it's going on 3 months now. September, October. Yep, about 2.5 months, 3 months. And now I'm in position to give you my personal opinion after about 10 weeks of ownership and be as obviously as objective as possible and remaining truthful to my own findings with this power amplifier. So with that being said, let's just get this started. All right, so you know, guys, I know you guys know I have different categories for amplifiers. If you watch my previous videos, please watch my reviews of other power amplifiers like the Gryphon Coliseum, the Luxman 900U, the SimAudio 860 version 2. I have videos with my personal ratings on these amplifiers. So I have different categories that I've identified that I'm actually trying to stay consistent with in order to evaluate these components. And I am going to start with the very first category. This amplifier, to me, it is definitely in the neutral dynamic camp of amplification. When it comes to resolution, I give the Mephisto a 9. I gave, in comparison, the sibling, the Coliseum, an 8. This amplifier has more resolution than any other power amplifier I've ever owned. It is definitely an X-ray machine, literally extracting everything you feed it. Nothing stays behind the music. As long as your source feeds it and your speakers are not the bottleneck, this amplifier will give you everything that's in your music. It doesn't matter what it is, it'll find it, it'll extract it, and send it your way. I will say that it is one of the most impressive amplifiers with that category and with resolution, when it comes to resolution. But I don't give it a 10 because I think maybe, just maybe, that could be the Gryphon Mephisto solos, the monoblocks. Maybe, to me, that will have even more resolution than the stereo amplifier that I have here. So I have to always think about, could there possibly be something else that has more? And I'm going to say maybe the monoblocks would have that perfect score in this particular category. When it comes to bass control, I give this a 10. Perfect score, no questions asked. No other power amplifier that I have personally owned beats this amplifier in this category. No Constellation, no other Gryphon, no SimAudio, no Luxman, no Dan D'Agostino, no Bryston, no Parasound. Doesn't matter. I don't care. If I've owned it, nothing has come close to the bass control of this power amplifier. Okay, so I want to make sure I say it one more time. I'm comparing against the amplifiers I've owned. If you have an amplifier that you feel is better, I haven't owned it. So remember that, okay? I am giving you my personal opinion against my former amplifiers. Clarity, 10. Perfect score. I still believe no other amplifier has scored a 10 here. Only the Coliseum gets an 8. That's the closest amplifier right now that I've owned when it comes to clarity. Slam and dynamics, next category, I give it a 10. This is another perfect score, easily giving it a perfect score. If you follow my YouTube channel, you should easily be able to see how dynamic and powerful this amplifier really is. The excess horsepower needs to be carefully matched, or you can run into some problems with the feeling of you're going to get the feeling of a wild horse, if you will, in the room. Okay, so this amplifier really deserves some of the best preamplification, and I personally advise against using a DAC direct preamplifier because I'm not a believer a DAC can really control an amplifier of this caliber. Now, of course, if you're doing near field listening and you're doing that kind of stuff, sure, okay, you can get away with a DAC. But when you have speakers like these, and you are about 9 feet away and you crank the volume, I just don't think a DAC is going to really survive here as a preamplifier. I'm sorry. It's my personal belief here, and I strongly, strongly recommend a line stage, a real line stage for this amplifier. You need a serious preamplifier that can hit the brakes, that can accelerate, that can command it and control it. A DAC will get the job done, but it's not going to get it done the right way. Remember that. When it comes to speed, I give this amplifier a 10. It's lightning fast. It really is one of the right now it is the fastest amplifier I've ever owned. I think maybe the closest I have heard is probably the Merrill Audio Element 118s, because those are Class D amplifiers that I can think of in terms of speed. But the brute power of this amplifier takes you from point A to point B as fast as possible. There is absolutely, it's no slouch. It actually, if I can use my memory and I recall the past Labs XS300s, if I could put those amplifiers in here and compare it against this Mephisto, you would easily be able to tell how sluggish they are in comparison to the Mephisto. I mean, it really does expose, it shines a light on amplifiers that can't really run at this speed. And I remember most of my music, most of the different songs that I select, everything sounds as if it's just fast paced, if that makes any sense. That's the feeling you get with this power amplifier. The next category is Soundstage width and depth. Again, if your speakers can present this, you'll be in for a treat. Your music becomes a huge wall of sound where nothing, absolutely nothing escapes. As long as you have the right speakers. Remember that. You gotta have the right speaker to let this amplifier come to life. Present to you what it can do. You can have this amplifier in your room, but if your speakers are bookshelves, I mean, I just don't think that's something that you might want to do with this amplifier, right? It deserves quality speakers, in my opinion. It really does. You're never going to be shortchanged with this amplifier in terms of the presentation. Never. Just put it with good speakers and a good source and a good line stage. And I'm telling you, it'll pay dividends for you. Detail. I gave this a 10. I have not met an amplifier that extracts as much information as this amplifier does. If your current amplifier is highly resolved, just wait until you meet a Mephisto. You're going to realize how not highly resolved your amplifier is. You're not going to realize that. See, a lot of people always think that they have a highly resolved speaker, preamplifier, amplifier, right? And the reality is they probably do until they have something to compare next to. That's when you really put it into perspective how not fast or how not good it is, whatever you have. And that's what this amplifier right here has allowed me to do. How okay or average or good other components were. This is what this amplifier has allowed me to see and hear for myself. But I mean, if I had the Coliseum here, I probably would have still thought it's the fastest sounding amplifier I've owned and the most detail or highly resolving amplifier. But now that the Mephisto is in place, that's when I realized actually there is something faster and better. Aesthetics and construction. I give this amplifier a 10. But let me tell you something. This is a 10 for me because I am a crazy person and I love big amplifiers that are heavy, even though I have a herniated back. I love this. Like, I really do. I mean, look, just love that. I love that feeling. I love looking at this thing, walking into the room and seeing this gigantic, dinosaur here. I really do. But that's a personal thing. Some of you guys might be, it's too big, the wife doesn't like it, or my partner, or my spouse, or I can't put it in a rack, or I can't put it, on a shelf, or in an enclosed environment. That's not the amplifier for you. If your priority is the aesthetics and that it looks pretty, like a little tiny box like that Class D amp that's sitting there that's tiny, if that's what you want, yeah, that's not for you. I'm telling you. And I'm keeping it real. This is not for you. Okay, if you have a problem lifting, if you have a problem with a huge stand in the middle of your room, you probably don't even have a dedicated room, to be honest. So yeah, I understand you wouldn't want this in the middle of your living room floor. I get it. So this is for that hardcore person that loves just huge, extreme components, and that doesn't care about the size. That's who this amplifier is for. Okay, and the reality is a lot of the sound that goes into this has to do with this construction. That's one of the reasons why this sounds so good. 250 pounds. It's got everything is built to. It's just crazy. Look, I mean, listen to the power sound. Listen to the heat sinks. You hear that? Now listen to this. Less. Even less. See? That has to do with the construction. Okay? So, that's what I'm saying. That's what you need to do. Also, if you have a problem, power cords. It needs 2 power cords, guys. 2 power cords. So, that's what comes with the territory. That's what comes with an amplifier like this. Okay? We haven't gotten to the point where you can make a power amplifier that weighs 10 pounds capable of beating a power amplifier like the Mephisto. Okay? There's no way of doing that right now. Maybe in 20 years. Who knows? The next category is value for the money. I gave it an 8. The reason why is because when I look at the MSRP of $61,000, okay, you can buy a lot of monoblocks for that kind of money. Good monoblocks. For instance, the Momentum M400s, I believe the MSRP is like $65,000. You can buy something like that. It's a great company, awesome monoblocks, right? And so for me, I guess the value for the money, I look at it as, okay, you can buy a lot of other options from other brands in the monoblock configuration. So I understand it may not be the best value for the money. But let me just say this. Value has nothing to do with the quality of the component, the sound of the component. I'm thinking more in terms of the real estate that you get with only one chassis, and you look at maybe your friends who have monoblocks, good quality monoblocks, and you're thinking, wow, I only have one chassis. But don't get it twisted. This still is one hell of an amplifier that can put a whooping on a lot of monoblocks out there with one chassis. And then the last category is Jay's personal grade. And I gave this amplifier a 10. I believe this is one incredible amplifier. When I look at the entire, just the satisfaction that I've received from this Mephisto has been extremely, extremely rewarding. I do not regret one bit buying this amplifier. I don't regret it. I don't look back. I don't have second thoughts. As a matter of fact, guys, I was just texting with someone, and I was telling them how yesterday I just felt like things were sounding horrible in here. I couldn't get myself to listen. Nothing sounded right, and I tried three different times throughout the day, and I felt like, wow, I can't get into the music. Something is off. That's when I know that it's not due to the Mephisto. That's when I know it's something. It has to do with me. I'm tired, maybe. I'm exhausted. I'm not hearing right. And that's when I know it's time for me to go to sleep or watch TV and forget about listening to anything here. When you get to this amplifier, you feel like if there's anything off, it's either your ears are tired, you're exhausted, or something else in here is not right. A power cord is off, or somebody unplugged something, or something is not turned on, or the treble is on your source, or whatever, the bass or something. That's what that amplifier will tell you. Okay? But let me tell you something. It's the best feeling ever to know that you don't have to look around to figure out what else you can replace it with. other than perhaps the monoblocks. It's the best feeling ever. Okay, and one of the things that I will say though, as closing thoughts, final thoughts for this review, is with this amplifier, guys, it's only the beginning, and it will expose all of your system's shortcomings and weaknesses, everything. It will not come to fix any issues you have, such as anemic speakers, anemic bass, or it's not designed to come and fix your issues. It's coming to tell you even louder, if you will, or in a much more pronounced fashion, what your weaknesses are. It will actually dig in and give you even more flaws that you currently probably don't even know you have. So, it also, in my opinion, if you're a cheap person, and I'm sorry to be blunt, but I gotta be honest, if you're a cheap individual, okay, that you love to skimp on power cords, you love to skimp on XLRs, speaker cables, you can't even put a dedicated 20 amp outlet for this amplifier. If you're this type of person, that type of mentality, that you just want to buy one, throw it in there on the floor, stock power cords, and you're done, do not buy it. Keep your money in the bank. This is not for that. When you have a ride here, you're looking at the supporting cast. You're looking at the Pandora. You're looking at the DCS. You're looking at the cables. You're looking at the new speakers, right? This is what it takes with an amplifier like that. I'm keeping it real, and I know there are some of you out there who love to buy top-end electronics and then refuse to buy a decent set of speaker cables. I've heard from some of you. Don't do that to this. You've gone this far. Why are you going to skimp and use lamp cords for speaker cables? Why are you going to go out there and buy monster cable for speaker cables? Or Amazon XLRs? Don't do that. It's really not. I would just tell you, put your money in the bank. Don't do that. So with that said, the Mephisto is the best power amplifier of all the power amplifiers I've ever owned. It has easily distanced itself from the rest of the amplifiers quite easily. With an overall score of 97 out of 100 points, the Mephisto is the king of my jungle. The question will remain, will it continue to be the king, or will there be a bigger lion that will dethrone the Mephisto? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Thank you for everything, guys. Please subscribe. Thank you for all the support. Take care.